Right, welcome back, listeners, and Money Shot to another edition of Heads Up. It's been a couple of weeks. We didn't do one last week, but because of absenteeism. But the Warriors have a very big wagon lined up on Saturday for supporters.
Is there still room? Is there still room to jump on the bandwagon?
Well, I jumped on.
I thought it was full.
Well, that just about is. I jumped on 2 weeks ago, and there's still room for you, Money Shot. You going to jump on?
Nah,
Come
not
on.
jumping on yet.
Oh,
Not jumping on yet.
What does it take? 10 wins in a row, unbeaten season. Come on, what does it take?
What will it take? A premiership. There you go. A premiership.
You're probably right. Well, everyone's hoping, aren't they? So. No.
Hey, they're surprising everyone, and I'd say the TAB would have taken an absolute bath last Saturday on the Warriors game. What were they, about 3:30, something like that, head to head?
Yeah. It was amazing, and point start, and would have got cleaned up. You look at this weekend's odds. Tell me, how do the Warriors go out paying $1.82 head to head?
Well, in reality, it's because...
History, is it?
Well, the odds setters across the world and generally led through the Betfair exchange, you can't go too far outside those prices of those opposition companies, or else you'll be opening up arbitrage opportunities. So I'd say $1.82 would be the lowest price in the world on the Warriors.
You think so?
But yeah, it would have to be, I'd say,
yeah.
Without having done a lot of study. But yeah, I must admit, I thought at home, the way the Cowboys are playing, the Warriors would be hot favourites, but not to be. I think even they opened slight outsiders in Australia. I saw on Monday, I saw a price that they were about $1.95.
Oh, well, on Sunday morning we'll know if they were right or not. So anyway, you were over in Melbourne on the weekend having a terrific time, and the first game you saw was the Hurricanes game.
Went along to the Hurricanes on Friday night, it was, Friday. And very enjoyable game.
Good atmosphere.
And good seats. Yeah. The stand, you don't want to be going down to get too many hot dogs during the game and beers, because it's a fair hike up those steps. It's pretty steep. But it was an okay atmosphere. Not too bad. I think the crowd was only about 15,000, so not huge when you compare it to some of the other crowds on other games in the weekend for the AFL. But Hurricanes just steamrolled the Rebels in the second half. They're an exciting team when they're in form, and I think they've shortened into Super Rugby favourites now, so it'll be interesting to see how they go.
Actually, talking about the stadiums, when I was at the Warriors game, we were way up the back in one of the stadiums there, and it was a hell of a walk. But if you might have to double your Zumba classes from 2 to 4 each week for the next trip, Money Shot. You're getting trim, huh?
Yeah, I might. I'll tell you what, though, the other game of note worth talking about was an AFL game, and I know there's not huge AFL support in New Zealand, but if you can get along to a game, went along to the MCG a few times, but on Monday, Geelong played Hawthorn, 73,000 people there, just in a average old Easter Monday game, and it was a doozy. Geelong losing by 1 point. So I think it was 119 to 118, something like that. And that was a great game to be at as well. So it's a good city, Melbourne, very good infrastructure, good stadiums, and good place to be, nice and warm too. Didn't see too much racing though, Neil, but I did catch the size produce. Must admit I backed Melt, but she was always chasing a memory, really. You could see it about 600 or 800, the way Avantage was travelling in the plum perch. She was going to be the one to beat for sure, and really just ran away and hit the last 150 metres. Yeah,
there she was just too good, wasn't she? Early on in her career, she'd run the sectionals in time, so the ability was always there. And just with that Zabeel strength coming through on the game side, she was just too big. Something I missed, actually. Something just too big, too strong. And in the Weight for Age race, it was interesting. Before the race Lisa Latta came on with talking about authentic paddage, he said, he's very fit and he will go forward and Saint Emilion will know he's there. So he knew straight away that Saint Emilion wasn't going to get his own way in front. And you could see him drifting in markets in the TAB and overseas soon after that comment, actually. And that's the way it turned out. It set up for our Aberdeen that came from the back, and also 5 to Midnight that also came from the back. So often little bits of information like that can lead you in the right direction for how a race is going to be run.
Exactly. Now, just remind me, Boston Road, St Emilion?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a bit of conjecture over the Jockey's Challenge not being refunded. Do you want to make a comment on that?
Well, they offered $2.20 in the morning for him to win it. I think it was normally $1.60 in the normal market, and I made a comment on Trackside Radio at the time that yes, it was good money, but all the time thinking, yeah, it's Opie Bosson. He does tend to ride overweight sometimes and not make the weight. So I didn't have a bet on it, even though it sounded pretty good value. So I just think it's just one of those things. You have a bet on a jockey, race patterns can change, track conditions can change, late distractions can happen. I think it was probably a fair call that Thad Taylor said if the other mounts had won, they would have done something. So I think it was the right call in the end. Did you have a good look?
I agree with you. It's one of the variables of punting.
It is, yeah.
And jockeys, when you're taking Jockey's Challenge, the jockey can get hurt, might not make the weight, the horse gets scratched in the barriers, and that's just unfortunately the luck of the draw with those options. So it would have been, I know they've done it once, and that was probably not a wise move in hindsight, but it would be a very dangerous precedent to have paid that out, because then you could be asking for all sorts of payouts. So probably not popular amongst the punters that took it, that opinion, but I think hey, we're the first to criticise the TAB, but I don't believe they deserved the criticism they got for that option not being paid out.
Yep, agree 100%. It's called gambling for a reason. Anyway, back with part 2 in a moment.
All eyes will be focused on Tiara tomorrow, Neil, for the running of the Group 1 New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeders Stakes, sponsored by Fibre Fresh. Darscope Princess, the $2.70 favourite, ahead of Cote d'Or. Coldplay there, and then the old Flusian Miss Wilson, the others in the single figures. On paper, you'd say based on Darscope Princess's last run would be hard to beat, but coming back in distance has to be the main query, would you not agree? Definitely,
and plus it was never her main target. It was a great run at Ellerslie, wasn't it, coming off a moderate tempo and running second. But looking back, the field wasn't an overly strong Group 1, and dropping back from 2000, like you say, freshened up. I picked her on top initially, then I've changed my mind to Cote d'Or, mainly because she's third up and this has been her target all along. So I've jumped ship to Cote d'Or. John 1, Danielle Johnson on, Ken and Bev Kelso trained this race before, and I think third up over a mile. She's got a devastating last 100 metres, I think, from that barrier. Only if the inside goes off it. She's stuffed, isn't she? But no, I'm on Cote d'Or. What are you keen on?
Oh, just be the devil's advocate for the sake of it, Neil. But Miss Wilson, I think back to that race at Tauranga in November.
Yep.
When she ran second, Cowie ran third, and Ocean Emperor won.
That's right.
And that was at Weight for Age. So those two boys have gone on to win big races since that race. So I think that form line stacks up over a mile, as was that race in Tauranga. And she ran fourth in this race last year at Te Rapa, only beaten less than 2 lengths. So just with another year on her side, bit of value, drawn a bit wide, but if Vinny can slot in somewhere, good run to the first corner. So I'll go against you and say Miss Wilson at a bit of each way money.
Yeah, no, fair choice. No, she'll go forward. And I can't see a lot of tempo on the race, rude not to, etc. But no, you could be onto something there. But okay, I'll have a bit of chocolate fish on that.
Yeah, we'll have a chocolate fish.
Yep.
Did you enjoy all those Easter eggs I sent you in the post?
Oh, they were lovely. I'm still going through them, so no, keep me.
Yeah,
great.
Fair enough. supposed to preview this one, but the race 7, I heard you on the radio last night with Mark Clayton. It was a good segment, actually. Very much enjoyed it.
Good.
I think you were keen on one in race 7, which I think I might agree with you. Were you talking up the chances of Sultan of Swing?
Yeah, definitely. I think back this way round, and he's a good horse. He raced in Australia pretty well, and I think he'll go forward. Can't see a lot of tempo in this race. He'll be in the right spot. Sam Weatherly on. Nice weight, 54.5 kgs for a really good horse like him. I think at 750 he was good each way value.
I thought so too. He gets him very well at the weights with Chicante at the top there and compressing those runners further down in the ratings. So I thought he was a good bet, Sultan of Swing, and definitely much better right-handed than left-handed.
Yeah.
So 750. That's your best each way price of the day. I would have thought at Tiara tomorrow, and the Team Whelan's open 1400.
Yep. And All Roads has been trialling well, big horse, and he's set to go fresh up, but he's drawn wide, will get back, and the tempo will be against him. Romance is probably the one Sultan has to beat because it's drawn well, been racing well, and got to be a chances also. And for roughly number 11, something vain. Yeah, something vain. Drawn nicely, might get a soft lead, soft trail, and place at good odds. But
so once we've won all our money at Tiara, we'll probably focus our attention over the Tasman for the big ATC Derby, as it is called now, I think. ATC Derby. The Australian Derby. 4 runners from the Baker Forsman stable. You've got Mongolian Conqueror. You've got the Lord Mayor, who will still claim as a Kiwi endowment. So a very strong Kiwi representation. You going with the Kiwis, or have you found an Australian to beat them all?
Well, I'm going for a horse that I reckon you'll go for. I haven't spoken to you before we did this segment, and I reckon number 10, Weather With You, was one that you'll probably like, and I do like. It was a nice run last start. Sort of a one-pace stayer, and I think he'll improve with that last run. Drawn 1, Jason on board. You on the same bandwagon?
No. Two bandwagons. We're not on the same. You can be on the Warriors and the Weather With You bandwagon, okay, and I'll stay off those two.
Okay, what will you be on?
Well...
Vinny?
No. Mission Hill.
Oh, yeah, it's a good run.
Was finding the line pretty well in the Rosehill Guineas, and I think it's trained on the right way, is what my spies are telling me.
Mm.
So $11, a little bit outside the square. Better to wait on the day. You'll probably pay 13s or 14s at least on the tote.
Yeah.
Mission Hill, there you go. Baker Forsman runner to win the Derby, but not the one you've tipped and not the favourite one.
Yeah.
We'll see what sort of judge we are.
That's a tough race, that one. Lavendi won well last week, grinding out a good tough one. Ace high, better track will suit. I don't know what else here. Nothing. No. Looking forward to that race. Not a race you'd have a real go on, but there's a couple of good bets there I like tomorrow. I've got on the website, so look out for those.
And
Sydney, yep, couple there.
Oh, good. I'll be signing it. Hopefully you've got my subscription money for another week.
No, it must be.
I didn't spend it all in Melbourne.
That's good. Rightio. Back with segment 3, part 3 in a moment. Looking forward to this part. See you soon. Okay, back with sports preview time. Looking forward to a good chinwag about the Warriors game. Well, the doubleheader tomorrow night, money shot. You're not going, eh? You're not going up?
No. Now that the Labor government have curtailed all the bloody transport, well, I don't think we'll be getting our train from Tauranga to Auckland, so
yeah,
we're stopping off at Penrose and walking up to Mount Smart. You could really make a night of it, couldn't you, if there was a direct train from Tauranga to Auckland and you wouldn't have to worry about drink driving. But no, we'll be watching it for sure. There's a plethora of sports on this weekend, but the league will be good. There's rugby, there's golf, there's V8s, there's AFL, there's racing. Gee, we'll have to do our exercises in the morning, won't we, now?
Well and truly early in the morning. I see Tiger Woods is hanging in there. One over.
Won't run in the top 20. It was the biggest lay of the year. I know it's easy saying that now. Not up to it. Will not win another major.
Gee, it's a big statement. It's a very big statement. We've got it on tape too, so it might come back to bite you one day. Who's your pick on the Masters?
Oh, the Masters. I like Rory McIlroy. He's obviously off to a flyer.
Yeah.
But McIlroy, his putter's been his problem in big major tournaments in the past, but he was sinking some nice 8, 10, 12-foot putts. A couple of them for par on the back nine and 1 or 2 for birdie, but I just like the way he's playing, and he's my pick, Rory McIlroy, to win the 2018 Masters.
Right, yeah, no, I'll probably agree with that. And on to more financial matters. Last few weeks we've been doing well with your sports selection and my Warriors selection, so what are you going for?
Well, I assume you'll be taking the Warriors, so why don't we do a double-header multi? You can watch them back-to-back, both at Mount Smart. West Tigers and Melbourne Storm are the curtain raiser.
Yep.
I won't be surprised if later in the season, Neil, that the Blues become a curtain raiser game for the Warriors.
You reckon?
Well, the only way they'd get a crowd, wouldn't they, after their performance last week? I thought you'd like that being a league supporter. Melbourne Storm got penalised off the park last week, and they will bounce back. They will be ropeable with that game where they lost to Cronulla, and I like the look of them to not upset, but put the Tigers away with ease, covering the 7.5 point start. Tigers are a gritty team, but they just will be outclassed by a clinical Melbourne performance tomorrow. So to get your multi underway, you need option number West Tigers Melbourne point start, which is option 2422. Number 4, Melbourne minus 7.5 at $1.82. And let me guess, we're multiing it into the head-to-head of the following game.
Definitely.
New Zealand Warriors $1.82. Double up the $1.82s, and they will pay for some of your weekend entertainment and the like once those two salute.
Yeah. It's interesting with the Warriors back on form. It must be affecting other types of entertainment. Like I was thinking about going to the Speedway on Saturday night, but I won't be going now because of the Warriors playing. So I wonder if other entertainment forms, even restaurants and things, I suppose, people stay at home and watch the game or go to the pubs and watch, I don't know. But it's interesting.
It's amazing though, 4 games in and it's like a tidal wave of support. And hey, give the Warriors their dues. They've always had a loyal fan base. Yeah. And they certainly do come out in their droves when they are winning, and it's good to see the crowd numbers. There'll be upwards of 20 to 22,000 at Mount Smart on Saturday night. So it just shows you the business of sports marketing. There's one criteria that really makes all the difference, and that's the performance of the team. And as a marketer, you can't do a lot about that, but that's what makes all the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
To the turnstiles and the tills and everything, really, the memberships, the sales of jerseys and merchandise.
Yeah, I see jersey sales are up 50% already this season. So no, it's winning's great, losing sucks. And I reckon you'd be proud of me. Last Sunday morning, I went down to the local pub, $25 breakfast and boxing. It was a fantastic game.
Yeah, I watched it via not an illegal source, but did see it in Melbourne, and just never looked likely, really, did he, Joseph Parker?
No, just I think the size, to beat someone of that size, his ability with that reach, it's not going to happen, is it? Unless he grows an extra 3 or 4 inches on his arms, which is not going to happen.
No, disappointing, but let's just say my sources tell me that if Parker had won that fight, I think the TAB's liability was in the vicinity of $1.5 to $2 million.
Sure.
I don't think the racing industry would have liked that too much.
No.
With Joshua winning, I think the profit was about $600,000. So there's been 2 big results for the sports team this year, or this season. The McGregor Mayweather fight, that was a huge win with Mayweather winning that and this one as well. So they'll be happy in Petone, that's for sure. That Parker one, you could imagine how many multis were probably Warriors on Saturday night into Parker on Sunday. Could have been astronomical figures if Parker had got up.
Yeah, I had one good multi on Saturday night, and it was to be no score before 8 minutes was up in the Warriors game, and the frickin' Roosters score in the 3rd minute and don't score for the next 60 minutes. Incredible. But into the boxing, I had that, and I got stuck into the boxing to go the full 12 rounds. It was $4, and I thought that was just terrific value. So I was quite pleased to see it go the full 12 rounds, and really enjoyed that, along with my bacon and eggs.
I was going to ask, what did you have for breakfast? Bacon and eggs?
Bacon and eggs, one of my favourites. So. And good crowd down there, it's just terrific.
Yeah, certainly he's captured the nation's love, Joseph Parker. He's a very humble guy, very nice guy. You wonder how he can be so nice in the sport he's in, but he'll be back, whether he gets to the lofty heights of a world heavyweight fight again, with all those belts up for grabs, who knows, but it's pretty hard boxing. One loss and your career's on a downer. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's sport, isn't it? You've got to win. But no, he's making a good living. So be interesting if he stays with Kevin Barry.
Obviously, a lot of the people that know more about boxing than I suggested that Barry's training left a bit to be desired in terms of his ability to move laterally on his feet.
Interesting.
I'd say you'll stay with him.
Yep.
It's but it is what it is. It was good weekend, and I'm sure this weekend, once your Warriors win, you'll be on cloud 9, Neil, and then you can enjoy the golf on Monday and all the other sport. It'll be a good old weekend. It's warming up quite nicely in terms of all the winter coats.
It sure is. I'm looking forward to that in the weekend, especially Monday morning. It's always a good way to finish off. You know the course so well, don't you? Anyway, I'm rambling, so we'll get on to part 4 in a sec.
Part 4 now, listeners. Time to wrap up the show, give out a form analysis tip, talk about the ratings on a Monday, the Māori question, and whatever else we like to talk about here on part 4, Neil. But today you're going to give us a lesson on how to identify fresh up winners, horses who are resuming after a bit of a spell. How do we know which ones are in need of a run and which ones are ready to rock and roll? Okay,
good question. And I'll tell you what, there's one piece of advice that I can give listeners that is crucial for backing fresh up runners, and that is look at the horse before the race. No matter what it's done before or that sort of thing, if it's sweating up, not too bad. It can be okay if it's sweated up before fresh up, but if it's the race before fresh and you get good notes and it hasn't sweated up before, you can be warned. If the money's coming for it with the bookies, it's another sign it could be ready to go fresh up. But I always like horses that have been proven either winning fresh up or placing fresh up. So that's my best advice.
Why do you think horses, other than the obvious, i.e. they're hot and bothered like humans sweat up, but why do you think some horses sweat up badly? Do you think it's their nerves? It's an indication they don't really want to be there, or they're feeling, should we say, out of their comfort zone? What do you think it is that causes horses to sweat up unnecessarily?
Could be just a nervous habit. Horses do get nervous with the crowd, with the other horses around them. And I remember Walshy saying once that if you see white sweat on a horse, it's a sign that it's probably needed the run. If it's clear sweat, it's just nervous sweat. There's a good book written by, I forget the chap's name, but I'll put it on the website, written a lot of information about horse behaviour, and sweating was one of them. And it can be a positive sign, sweating up, so you've got to know your horse really well. For example, there's a horse racing tomorrow, Sleeping Beauty, in the 6th race. Had a quiet trial, looked really good, and there's probably a good chance fresh up. It's only paying $3.50 though, so no real value, but have a look at it before the start. There's going to be a good bit of pace in the race, which can count a horse that is fresh up. if they go fast, the fitness factor comes into it. So, how about you? What do you look for in a fresh up horse when you're maybe backing it or looking to back it?
I wouldn't say I'm as dedicated to looking at horse behaviour. The horse behaviour I look for is more their attitude and their prelim. Actually, if they go down and they look like their mind is focused and their head's pretty much on their chest and they're sort of galloping in a good fashion versus a horse that's kind of thrown its head around and is a bit rank, that puts me off in terms of horse behaviour.
Yep.
I like horses, the ears going down just nicely, not too hard. In their prelim, that's probably what I look for more in terms of when you're on course and you can see those prelims. But I'll defer to the expert that you are on the other attributes of horse behaviour.
Yeah. Well, for example, today, Sweepstake on the 4th race at Awapuni, it was noticeably sweating up, but it was clear sweat, and it did look fit. Like you say, it looked settled, ears were pricked, it went down nicely, and it got back and it was just too good. So that was a classic case of a horse sweating up that would put some punters off, but it was actually no negative whatsoever. So knowing your horse and keeping notes is crucial for fresh up horses. Okay, now the multi question, last time the person came close, I forget who it was, but this week what are we going for? It's a good question, I like this question.
3 out of 4, I think last time. This answer was Sir Slick, of course.
That's right.
Who'd won a couple of Japan, New Zealand international trophies. This week, the big race, Te Aroha Group 1 Breeders' Stakes, a few years ago now, 10 to 15, maybe even 15 to 20 years ago, a horse called Zerna won this race. We want to know who the trainer of Zerna was. And just a small clue, this person is much better known for another role they played in the industry. So if you can work that out, who trained Zerna, get your entries in to Neil via text or email. What time's cut off today, Neil? 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
9 o'clock. I'll be staying
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So yeah, 027 352 6402 or formpro@formpro.co.nz. Get it in by 9 p.m. tonight, and my wife will draw out a lucky person, and they'll get a $20 multi-bet on the races or sports or whatever they like tomorrow, and hopefully it can be due for one too, so fingers crossed you can get one up. And I've got an interesting story about that trainer next week too, I'll mention, so good luck with that. Nothing else. We've got the golf, the league. It's going to be a great weekend, isn't it? I'm looking forward to it.
I must admit, I was Easter Monday in at a pub tab in Melbourne, and up came the Form Pro ratings race at Manawatu Greyhounds. You're getting widespread publicity, Neil, with that ongoing sponsorship you do at the Greyhounds every Monday.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Noticed it even in Australia.
I must tell David that because he works damn hard on that rating site, and he's just doing a few changes, big changes at the moment. Won't affect the site too much, but in the background he's doing a lot of work, and it's quite stressful work, I can tell you. So thanks, David, for all that. And they are free on Mondays still with the Greyhounds. So
how are those speed maps going?
Terrific. Just people who haven't followed the Greyhounds before, if you just pick the dog that's going to lead and it's paying more than $3, back it. Long term, I think you can have a good chance of making money. Or just box up the first 3 dogs or 4 dogs that map to come out early. It's just a simple bit of information that can be really useful sometimes. Anyway, getting quite warm, isn't it? Looking forward to a really good weekend, and Rory getting up in the last hole. It's some great fun.
What about we've got to touch on Sergio Garcia this morning?
What's that?
Did you hear about him?
No. Sergio Garcia.
Par 5, 15th.
Yeah. Yep.
He was about 210. He had a beautiful drive.
Yep.
210 metres out on his second.
Yep.
What do you reckon he shot for the hole?
Well, either be a 3 or a 33.
13. He had 5 balls in a row in the water. They all spun back. They were all good shots, but they all spun back off the green into that lake at the front of the 15th hole. 5 in the water. Unbelievable.
And was he running up to see if they went in the water? Fucking throwing his clubs.
No clubs that I saw went in the water, but it just shows you that's the beauty of golf, isn't it? He won the tournament last year and he shot a 13 on a par 5.
Yeah, amazing.
I think even you and I might be able to shoot better than 13 on that hole, Neil.
Maybe, yeah. You ever been there?
No, it's definitely the one sporting event I will get to in the next few years. It definitely is the number one item on my bucket list is the Masters.
Yeah, true, right. I'll get there too. A mate of mine's been to it and said it's just terrific. They have people going around picking up bits of paper off the course.
There's no advertising. There's no, like, the sandwiches, the pies, there's no branding.
Yeah.
It costs about $1,000 to be there a day.
Gee.
In terms of to get through the gate, but then like sandwiches are $1, pies are $1, beers are $3. The food is unbelievably cheap. Compare that to even in Australia, some of the you wouldn't get a beer for under $9 or $10 at the MCG, and then you throw in your chips and your whatnot, and it adds up. But yeah, it's a special place, the Masters. It's unique to, I think, just about any. You couldn't really name another sporting venue quite like it in the whole world, I wouldn't think.
No, you couldn't. I got Lords, I suppose, for a cricket test, but it's not played annually between the top professionals. Anyway, no, I agree. It's very unique, and looking forward to that on Monday morning. Anyway, everybody, make plenty of money. Hope we've given a few winners and maybe just one or two losers, but hopefully none. So have a good weekend, Money Shot. Make plenty of money and behave yourself.
Cheers, mate.
Okay.